we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means, on infiltration instead of invasion, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. There is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it.
Buenos días y bienvenidos al episodio 153 de la Hora del Abuso. Soy su anfitrión, el señor Coffee Long. Bienvenidos y buenos días. All right, that's enough of that shit. It is I, your host, Coffee Long, coming to you unsupervised, unmedicated, and an unchecked threat to Mexican society. Holy fucking sheep shit. It's about time there's something, there's something going on besides child murder, which is a nice change. However, the something that's going on is a high probability of World War III and Mexican mayhem. So let's get into it, man. So we'll talk about that, and then I want to talk about a couple of ideas that I saw bouncing around in a chat somewhere. It's actually on a YouTube comments. And then I want to talk about a few tips on staying invisible as shit gets increasingly hectic. So let's get straight into it. So in old Mexico, where the definition of a virgin is an ugly 14-year-old, the leader of the new Jalisco New Generation Cartel. So something like El Nueva Generación Cartel de Jalisco. Say that 5 times fast and then bring me some fucking chips and salsa. And I'll tell you what, dude, I can't really hablar no fucking Spanish per se, but I can dig a little just because growing up in Southern California, like, you're inundated with this shit. You're drowning with it. It's like fucking torture. It's everywhere. It's on fucking street signs. It's on the radio. It is everywhere. And something that was, I don't know, how do you say, something that was peculiar that happened in Southern California that people from there will know what I'm talking about, is that the broadcasting regulations in old Mexico were not the same as the broadcasting regulations in the U.S. So a lot of radio stations would actually set up shop in Mexico. I don't know if they still do this. They did this, a while back. But they'd set up shop in old Mexico, and they could, like, boom out, like, these monster fucking power fucking signals. So you'd have this station, like, if you were all the way down in San Diego and you were driving up the coast towards, like, L.A., you'd be able to listen to the same stations, like, almost the whole fucking way because they're putting out so much power because they're in fucking Mexico where nothing is regulated. But then at the end of the day, and this is the funny part, so at the end of the day, what would happen is there would be some kind of switchover where, like, after midnight, it would be like the Mexico show. So at midnight, they would play the Mexican national anthem. And if you didn't know what was going on, like if you were, I don't know, coming home from the bar, you were awake late or whatever the fuck you're doing, if you have the radio on, which I don't think people even have actual radio no more, but if you had the radio on, you would be sitting there, and at midnight, it would be like, dun, 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 and it would be this fucking trumpet-ass, horse-riding, Mexican backwoods fucking song, and you're like, what the fuck is this? And somebody would have to explain it to you, like, yeah, it's fucking Mexico, so they play the fucking national anthem at midnight, which is pretty suiting for a narco state, piece of shit fucking place that it is. Anyway, so this thing in Mexico now, the head of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel got smoked by the Mexican military, I guess, and that shit has spun up. So, like, a bunch of these tourist spots, like Puerto Vallarta and a bunch of these other spots, they're in fucking flames. Like, I guess some of these fucks from this cartel, they tried storming an airport. They're just fucking things up, fucking people up, the whole deal, because, like, hey, we're in control. And you got to dig that in old Mexico, the cartels, This is not like a fly-by-night casual, like, oh yeah, what do you think me and you and some of the guys will buy a couple black market guns and start selling drugs on a street corner. Like there are nation states that are not as well armed as several Mexican cartels. So these fucks have like up armored vehicles, drones, body armor, the whole to-do. And everybody jocks up, so cops included and the cartel fucks. I mean, they all jock up like fucking stormtroopers, man. Like the whole fucking face covering, goggles, balaclava, so you can't see who's shooting at you or who you're shooting at. You just know that you're on this side, they're on that side, for today. And then probably a lot of them are like, they take off one patch and throw on another, depending on what day it is or if they're working today or they're not. But the guy that got smoked, who was the guy in charge, this was a dude named Nemesio Cervantes. And he was a former cop. I don't know how long he was in charge of this cartel, but he went by the name El Mencho, which I looked it up, and I couldn't find anything definitive. And I mean, you don't have to comment, man. Like, we already both know, us on our side of the fence, we already know where this is going. But I look it up, and I think, the way that Mexicans do with their fucked up names. So this guy's, the name in the wanted poster is Nemesio. The name that it gives you if you look this up online is like Ruben or however they're saying it that day. But now they try to give you this thing of like, oh no, El Mencho is actually like a diminutive, like a shortening of one of these names, I guess, of this Nemesio name. I'm like, where does fucking Mencho come into that? And it actually said, like, one of the brave AI answer that it gave me, I'm like, hey, what is El Mencho short for, or what does that mean, or whatever. And it's like, oh, well, you see, his name's Nemesio, and Mencho is like a diminutive of that. But, so when you say El Mencho, all this really means is the Mencho. Get the fuck out of here. I don't believe that, all right? So here's what I think, is that we know that the president of Old Mexico is a Jewess, and we know that her getting elected involved more people getting smoked than any other election in Mexican history. So what if, and work with me on this, what if El Mencho was short for the Mensch? Is that such a stretch? I mean, it's a lot better than El Mencho, I think. Fucking El Mencho. Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, so they're talking about like, oh yeah, we're going to declare war on, because there's some suggestion that the U.S. helped out with this effort, that there was some U.S. interop there, and that maybe some special forces dudes were there in an advisory capacity. I do know that special operations groups have been in Mexico, I mean, for a long time. I never went there, well, thank God, but I know that there have been a variety of special operations groups that have helped out in an advisory, like trying to teach these fucking dunce caps how to do things down in Old Mexico. However, like the rub here, and I've said the same fucking thing, all of us have, every time you go do any kind of thing like this, is that most likely you're just training the guy that's going to be shooting at you a few months from now. So don't train him too fucking good, right? Don't give him all the fucking black magic, because he's going to be using it on you. But this El Mencho situation, oh god. So this organization, I can't remember what the fuck it is. It's like CRCJNG or some shit. Like not a flavorful acronym. Like, come on, man, can you not do better than that? This doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. Maybe it sounds different in Spanish. I seriously doubt it. Like, nothing sounds easy in Spanish to me. However, after I think about it, though, I do remember reading that if you're talking colonial languages, Spanish is your preferred colonial language. There's like an entire continent and a half that is like, yeah, it's a European language. The downside is that it's spoken by subhumans. It's spoken by fucking mutants. Yes, these brain dead fucking slipknots. Enough of that, though. These pyramid walkers. Anyway, enough of that. But so this organization, this whatever the fuck it is, this cartel, we'll just say that, they're talking about like we're declaring war on, anything American that we can get our hands on, as well as the Mexican government, anything we can do to them, we're coming after you. And I can't help but feel like just maybe the U.S. knew where this dude was and maybe there's some leverage involved. And they said, hey, you need to fucking hit this guy. Because if you hit this guy, now it kind of frees up the Mexican government, as it were, to like, all right, you don't really have a rival now. Or if you did, you got rid of your top rival. Like you can move on to your second and third place rival now. But you don't have to worry so much about, a cartel with fucking up-armored trucks and body armor and rockets and drones and this shit. You can take a little bit of a breath. But for this dickhead administration, the fucking orange retard, this comes at the perfect time because just like bombing Serbia so that everybody forgets you got a blowjob in the White House, this comes at the perfect time where there's been nothing in the news to talk about apart from these motherfuckers raping and murdering kids. People are still pissed about that. I'll tell you what, I mean, as it stands with the Mexico thing, that's about the size of it right now. It's very hot in Mexico. Our next door neighbor, narco state, shit's coming unstitched. So we'll see how that plays out. There's really nothing else to that. However, the thing I wanted to get to in talking about that as a distraction from this Epstein situation is you do see a lot of talk about, from around the world, from Europe, from where fucking ever, about like, dude, you're the most heavily armed country in the world and you fucking people don't do anything about it. Like, you just let this shit slide. Is that cool? And I can't lie, dude. It ate at me for a long time. It gnawed at me. And I remember thinking, although clearly I would never think such a thing now, I remember thinking that, like, obviously I'm not walking out here Han Solo trying to, right the ship or whatever. Because, I mean, look at this fucking balloon head at Mar-a-Lago. Like, what are you fucking doing? Like, you just bobble onto the property with a shotgun and a can of gas. I'm going to fix this fucking right now. What the fuck? Take your fucking meds, Holmes. This is... And I guess nobody was even there. Like, there was nobody of consequence even at the location. So what the fuck are you doing? I seriously think there's got to be like a psychiatric thing, or it's completely fucking staged and no such person exists. I don't fucking know. But what I was thinking, though, was that, like, dude, if I had 30 dudes, you could roll in, like, 6 or 7 trucks. You could roll like a proper convoy. You could probably set some shit straight. And to be honest, then, there was 2 things that kind of said, all right, well, maybe you hold on for a minute because it could go exponentially wronger than you might suggest. One was this Mexico thing, obviously. Like, these are cops. You see some of these cops that got shot up and some of these cartel guys. But these are cats in up-armored vehicles, not your regular thin-skinned vehicles, up-armored vehicles, wearing body armor, big fucking automatic weapon mounted in the back, a dude up there manning that fucking thing. And guys got fucked up. Dudes got fucked up on both sides. Because I saw a video of both sides of this. And there's cats fucking laid out, fucking smoked, dragged out, executed, the whole fucking deal. And now I got to think, like, all right, dude, you understand this is a fucking, like a multi-thousand-year-old pedophile cult. Do you really think you're going to hop in a fucking Hilux and set this shit straight overnight? Is it impossible? I don't know. Maybe if you had some really solid intel and some truly heavy hitters. I don't have any of those things. So I'm rethinking it in that direction. And then I see this not the Mexico situation. I had this conversation in this group chat that I'm in, not the Abuse Hour chat, which is available on the Telegram and is a very cool scene, but like a personal fucking text thing where there's like me and some jiu-jitsu dudes and some guys, like some former military dudes. And there's a lot of, I guess on the jiu-jitsu side, it's like, I mean, I guess to run with the analogy, like you're definitely at the white belt level of understanding what the fuck is actually going on here. You're just at the level of like, I think something's going on. I think there's more than meets the eye to this. Yeah, there is, dude. But you don't want to like stymie somebody's efforts by like just smashing them, with like some black belt level knowledge of like, look, dude, this is Moloch right here. Have you seen these shapes before? This 666 thing. Have you ever seen this before? Look at the fucking, look at the Disney logo. Now look, all right, you don't want to fucking do this. You're going to put somebody off and like, I don't understand what you're saying. This sounds fucking crazy. But now you got these fucking patriotards, like the military dude. This is where I have a really hard time giving somebody a free pass. Like, you were neck deep in this machine, man. You got treated bad. You got treated disposable by this very machine. You saw something is wrong. You know something ain't fucking right. And now when somebody like me comes along and is like, hey, look at this fucking shit. What do you get a bunch of fucking static over? You get a bunch of fucking pushback. So I'm in this fucking chat, and this Brazilian dude throws out this thing of like, yeah, this fucking this Epstein thing, man, it's crazy. You see some of this stuff, I think, and because there's like a lot of Catholic action going here, and like, this is what it's prophesied in the end times, bro. And I'm like, yeah, great, okay, end times, whatever. And, that's what it was. A dude sent me this clip of, and again, like a bite your tongue opportunity. It's a clip of some white woman who is married to a Palestinian dude, and they're both Christian, right? So it's this Palestinian Christian dude, this blonde white woman, Christian woman, and they had been living in Palestine, and they're running on about dipshit there, fucking Mike Huckabee and his interview with your Tucker Carlson. And, they're talking about the unchristianness of it and how, Christians are being discriminated against, and you say you're for, fair treatment and equality, but I can't even go to Jerusalem to these holy sites and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, that's well and good, and it sucks. And okay, yeah, you're being discriminated against. And I had to tell this dude, like, look, dude, this is not about discriminating against Christians. This is not about America's allies. This is not about stability. This is not about any of this shit. This is about, what does Israel want? Israel wants to be supreme in the fucking region, and that requires destabilizing everything else in the region. And who's been doing that for the last 25 fucking years? Yours fucking truly. So, I appreciate that you have like a dog in this fight with the religious angle, but that's not what this is about, dude. And he was like, yeah, that's an interesting point. Obviously you can't wheel out the whole thing, right? You can't fire hose this motherfucker with the JQ from like, let's talk about ritual child sacrifice going back 1,000 years, So you don't want to do that. But you can give a little taste. But now I get this fucking patriotard brovet dipshit motherfucker that's talking about, really, man, I think people are kind of losing interest, in the whole Epstein thing. And, I think it's really just a cover for something else. I think, there's a lot of effort to take control of our power grid. And I know that, like, China is definitely at the forefront of that. And I couldn't say anything, man. I'm like, what the fuck, Alex Jones fucking dog shit weak take is this? China? Fucking China? The Chi-Coms? Do you have the documents, you fucking weak son of a bitch? So when I think of it that way, and you hear some of these people talking about, oh, fucking America, you guys are so fucking armed, bunch of big talkers. Why don't you get the fuck out there and do something? Handle business. It's 2A, right, bro? What about that? This is fucking why. This is exactly fucking why. One, because these people are, yeah, you can own a fucking rifle, you can own a pistol, this kind of shit. You don't have the access to the kind of shit that like a Mexican cartel has. And they got smoked anyways because the machine wanted it that way. You're not going to fucking knock this out in half an hour. Two, even if that wasn't the case, you got these kind of fucking brainwashed, patriotard fucking dumbasses that are still out there like, nah, bro, this ain't that big. I think it's just another thing, man. It's just something that's like, maybe it happened. I don't know, whatever. Maybe it happened, maybe it didn't, but I'm losing interest, bro. And it's just knowing the people like that are out there, all it says to you is like, this is a motherfucker that will dime you out. This is a motherfucker that you even hint some shit like this, like, dude, maybe somebody should do something. This fucking guy will be on the phone talking about, hey, you might want to pay a little visit to old Coffee over here. He's saying some crazy stuff. And I mean, just to set him straight, let him know that, we're all in this together, this kind of shit. So, and for everybody listening, man, I mean, I say some crazy shit, but again, like, this shit is not going to be won by, like, losing your shit. This is not going to be won by seeing red, yeah? By just going fucking berserk and like, you know what, fuck this! And just going fucking ham and trying to straighten this shit out in half an hour. We don't get any chances at fuck-ups, right? So, like, the man, like the FBI, they decide they've had it with your shit. They can roll to your house. They can go to the wrong address. You might slip out the back and they miss you today. They can afford to fuck up a bunch of times. You can't afford to fuck up at all. So I'm saying, like, bide the time, take the tiny wins where we can. Eventually these fucking idiots will, as they always do, overreach, overplay their hand, and they're going to end up in a tight fucking spot, and, then we can start making our gains. They are doing it to themselves right now because, I mean, you've got average housewives calling for blood in the streets. You rarely get that. And it's not, the way these women are, dude. Like, they're not going to be pissed about this shit, and then later they're just going to fucking forget about it. Like, this shit is hardwired now. Israel bad, pedophiles bad, U.S. government equals pedophiles. So, you don't have to do anything there. You don't got to convince anybody. They did the work for you. Like, they JQ pilled all these broads as a favor to you. Nice work. Recruiter of the month, right? Other than that, dude, I listened to the, I don't know if you heard this, man. It was posted in the chat, but it's unnerving, man. The Tucker Carlson interview with Mike Huckabee, the U.S. ambassador to Israel. And, dude, it is like an interview with a Talmud salesman. It is horrible. I remember listening to Mike Huckabee speak, back when he was running for the Republican ticket to try to be Mr. President. And I guess knowing what we know now, right, knowing that you really ain't getting into that game on any serious level if you don't have some kind of compromat, if they don't have you by the nuts in some form or fashion, that you're not getting into that game. I know that all of us have seen, like, if you watch any of these fucking debate, these election time type events, that it's a very fucking rigid program. Yes, that, you could have a guy like, for instance, like Andrew Yang, who was in a lot of ways wildly popular. You're Bernie, right? That wacky old Hebrew-looking professor-looking motherfucker, right? Popular with a certain genre, but had backing, was popular, yes? So you had cats like this, but these cats were not, they didn't get signed off through the official program of like, we got you by the nuts, we know you're safe, we know you'll come for somebody, but it won't be for us, so go ahead, you're going to get a chance to talk. So if we look back a little further then, and what we see with Mike Huckabee, how the fuck did you get out there, guy? Because I remember that guy, who was that little shit? I could see his face, dude. There was like Dennis Kucinich. There was John Edwards. That was the guy. Dude, I was actually nearby at that when he was at that hotel where he had locked himself in a bathroom and wouldn't come out because it had come out that he had been banging his photographer and knocked her up, and she had a kid, and he had some other motherfucker saying that it was his kid instead. Like, I don't know, how the fuck do you do this shit? And I don't know if the guy that he had roped into this shit, maybe he promised him, like, bro, you'll be my VP if I get this, bro. I just need you to fucking bite the bullet on this. I don't remember who that guy was. Clearly, I'm too lazy to look it up, but I don't remember who the guy was. But I remember there was some other guy, some other politician that was like, oh, yeah, bro, I banged that fucking photographer broad, and that's actually my kid. And did it. And the fucking photographer chick, she just sat there. I don't know what kind of money was coming her way, but she just fucking sat there and just like let it all ride. I can't fucking imagine being that kid. Like, how could you, like, if you were the dude that knocked up any fucking woman, to be able to go out there publicly and be like, no, that ain't my kid. I don't know who the fuck that is. I never banged that chick. I don't know who the fuck that is. That kid's going to fucking grow up at some point. At some point, that kid's going to be like, hey, mom, who is my dad? Do you have any idea? Or are you just such a whore? That was it like a real neck and neck horse race at the end there? You know, coming down the home stretch, it could have been any of 5 dudes. Like, where am I at on this? Oh, yeah, your dad's this guy, but he doesn't admit to it. Oh, that's real fucking cool. So you're going to completely butt fuck somebody's entire self-image, like their entire, like a whole piece of their life is just fucked because you're like, nah, bro, I don't want to be embarrassed. What the fuck is wrong with you? So this is the caliber of person that gets ushered into the limelight. So now you look back, and I believe it was about that same time period, you got your fucking Mike Huckabee right there in the running, a central player. Yeah? So you had like, you had your Pat Buchanan, you had your John Edwards. I can't remember who some of those fucking dumbasses were, man. I mean, just unimpressive people generally and all around. But yeah, Mike Huckabee was right there, man. And his big selling point was always it does that little thing where they hold where you like push your thumb against your forefinger and you wave it around like you're trying to not point your finger in somebody's face, but boy, oh boy, I'm just short of waving my finger at you, and I want you to know that I'm serious. I'm a man of God, and I've been a pastor for decades now, and I put that first, and that means a lot to me. And America is meant to be a country led by a godly man, and I am godly, and da-da-da-da-da-da. He'll never say Christian, mind you. America was founded as a Christian nation, and these dirty fucking filth people, we've got to get them out. He's not going to say anything like that, no. But what he is going to say, you look back, he's going to toe the line, man. America requires a God-fearing man, a man of the book, and he even used this in the Tucker Carlson interview. So that's what I wanted to get to, is kind of some of the jackassery in this. And as a kind of a follow-up to last time, this thing was, if you listened to the, who was that dingbat? Pam Bondi that spoke in front of Congress, how we were talking last time, that she really did give like a master class in spinning off into the weeds, in going down rabbit holes and dragging people with, and just burning out the clock, talking about absolutely nothing. She really did a fantastic job. Now, if you want to look at a step beyond that into there's not another way that I could say it, man, into like a demonic level of just manipulation, Mike Huckabee is the interview for you. This entire situation, this is a hostile actor, dude. This is a hostile fucking interview. So, to give a little backstory, man, and if you've listened to it, man, I'm not telling you anything new, but for cats that haven't listened to it, I would recommend you listen to it, at least half of it. I could only listen to about 3/4 of it. That was about as much as I could take. I was coming unstitched. But the beginning of the interview, hey, and also, too, I'm not a Tucker Carlson fan. I think this guy is owned, but I think he stepped in here, like, he stepped up a level to have to go in here and interview, like, a senior fucking demon, this guy. I mean, Tucker Carlson is like a low-level functionary. Mike Huckabee is like an established demonic force. Like, it was fucking nuts, and it was freaky. So, to start this thing off, Tucker Carlson gives like a little bit of an introduction to the interview, and he says, as this thing is presented, like, usually I don't intro a fucking interview, man. Like, I just tell you I did the interview, I let the interview play, and you judge for yourself. Like, what are you taking away from it? I don't need to give you any backstory or any of this kind of thing. If there's something else to say, I should have said it during the interview, right? But I think the intro that he does give says a lot about the situation and what he was walking into and where we stand vis-a-vis a relationship with Israel that this, our representatives currently have. So the backstory is that the American embassy in Israel invites him to come and do an interview with Ambassador Huckabee to, I don't know, how do you say, clear the air or let him speak specifically on some of the baseless accusations that old Tucker made there. So he says, okay, I'll go. So they're going to go over there, and he calls the embassy and he says, hey, so just because Israel is in a multi-front war, would it be possible to get somebody from the embassy to come and pick me up so there's not any confusion, everything can be smooth and streamlined? Come pick him up, pick up his producers, his camera people, all their equipment and so on, just to streamline everything, you know? And the embassy says, nah, man, we're not doing that. So he says, all right, well, maybe you could just send like one person, like, like an attaché sort, to come down and just say, yeah, those guys are with us. They got their own cars or whatever, but they're with us. So just to minimize any confusion, can you do that? And the embassy says, nah, man, we're not doing that either. We're not going to do anything. You get here, make your way over to the embassy, and that's that. So he goes, well, no, dude, I'm not going to even do that. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that. And they say, well, there's a diplomatic room at the airport. We could just do the interview there. He says, all right, that's fine. I guess we'll do that. So he flies into fucking Ben Gurion Airport. He comments on how shitty the diplomatic meeting room is at the airport. I don't know whether it's shitty or not. I ain't been to fucking this airport. I don't plan on going to this airport, and I didn't see any real footage of, like, here's what I saw, here's this, here's that. However, what I will say, though, is for the billions and billions that we give to that asshole of the world every single year, the place should be stunning. Yes? I mean, how many sanctions are there against Russia? And you ever see the, dude, if you get a chance, look up, like, pictures of any Russian subway station. It is fucking spectacular. Basically, I imagine because they can afford to put money into what a subway station or a metro station or however you like, into what it ought to look like, because they don't have blacks to clean up after. Although it sounds like they're trying to ruin that situation. They're talking about importing Indians. Brilliant move. Yeah, great. We need somebody to shit in this subway station. Who can we get? I know, right? So he did comment on like how shitty the diplomatic meeting room at the airport was. So now he gets fucking Huckabee in here. And the thing that you notice straight away is that the entire time, Mike Huckabee's tone is very grandfatherly. His tone, mind you, all right? Only his tone. His tone is very grandfatherly, very deferential, very polite, very please, very thank you. However, when you listen to the content of the things the guy says, he always speaks very definitively. So there was in learning to interrogate or to hustle or to persuade or however you like to think of it, there was a sort of funny saying that I got told early on, and it's only funny in its convolutedness. And the idea was that the less apt a man is to make declarative statements, the less likely he is to look foolish in retrospect. Yes? So it sounds funny because it sounds very long and almost legalistic. But the point is, the less often you say, this thing definitely is. You could say, it seems like, and you'll hear me say that here a lot of times. It appears to be this kind of thing. Dudes will always say it. I mean, I think, in fact, you could probably, like, this is like a dead giveaway kind of thing for an operator. Is like when you say, what is this? It appears to be, you resist saying, like, this definitely is, unless you know absolutely for sure. Because you say a thing is a thing. You say it's 10 guys when it's actually 20. You say it's a regular pickup truck when it's an up-armored truck. You're going to look like a fucking ass when this goes wrong. But now what you see with your Huckabee here, this dude says these things are this way. When he's talking about Israel, right? So he's talking about, the country that he's supposed to be representing us to. You're there to serve American interests, right? But when he talks about Israel, he's talking about this is the way that things are. Now, whenever Tucker talks like a bit of a douche nozzle. He's extremely deferential. If he's talking about his own family, He's talking about like, oh, I could be wrong. I mean, I make mistakes before. I make mistakes all the time. But all I'm saying is that it seemed like to me that my father was dead at that. He'll always be this. He'll always leave that door open that I could be wrong about this, but Huckabee, not so much. This guy talks about Israel. Huckabee is talking about there is a covenant between God and these people that this land that they have consistently inhabited for thousands of years in some form or fashion belongs exclusively to them. That's the position. That's it. That's all. Completely inflexible. Now, if he said it the way that I'm saying it right now, people might listen and say, oh, it's kind of a fucking hostile interview, don't you think? But he doesn't say it like that. He says it like, well, Tucker, I think the thing that you have to understand is that a covenant exists. Tucker, you believe in God. You're a church-going man. A covenant exists. We all know that. This is the way that he presents this shit. So it comes off as like your grandfather talking to you, but what he's saying to you is basically, shut the fuck up. This is the way that it fucking is. So now, however you want to look at this, well, I'll tell you first, like the way that Tucker went about this was completely reasonable. Like, first, let's define, when you say this land, what land are you talking about? Are you talking about the little piece of land, the small piece of land that was given to them under the Balfour Declaration, whereby it said, yeah, you can have this and not more, and don't fuck with the locals, that piece? Or are you talking about this greater Israel situation, where you're looking at pieces of Syria, pieces of Jordan, pieces of Saudi, pieces of Lebanon, pieces of Egypt, all this shit? Are you talking about that? What are you talking about? Well, Tucker, I don't completely understand what you mean. And once again, he's confused. It's what was promised by God, Tucker. That's what I'm saying. I don't have a map in front of me. Perhaps you have perhaps you're a geographical genius and you can recite this all from memory. I don't have that good of a memory. I'm a simple man. I'm a simple preacher, Tucker. And this kind of shit. So now he goes on then and he says, and this is where it gets interesting, where it gets like openly hostile, I would say. And he says, so now you say the Jewish people. And he says, so what people would those be? Well, obviously, it's a people connected by an ethnicity and by a religion. And he says, okay, well, you say an ethnicity. Benjamin Netanyahu's family never lived here. So he says, what about him? His parents aren't from Palestine or the Holy Land or any of this. They're from Poland. And he says, what are you gonna do a DNA test? I mean, how else are we gonna know? Because we've cracked the genome now, right? So how are we gonna know who's actually from the Bunny Ears Holy Land that you say has a pact with God and is entitled to this land? How are you gonna determine that? And I swear, Mike Huckabee looks at him and he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about right now. Like, what is this, some kind of mystery? What do you want to DNA test just everybody? I don't understand. How is this possible? He says, well, it's your criteria. You're the one that said it. It said because of these people's genetic lineage that they're entitled to this block of land. And he's like, well, it's not just genetics. You see, it's also their religion. You see, they're actual religious Jews, so they're entitled to this holy land. He says, okay, well, I know there's a lot of Jewish atheists. And Huckabee says, well, yeah, but I mean, we've all seen, Christians that say they're Christian, but they don't go to church, all do they? They don't read their Bible. Every Christian person out there, do you think they pray every day the way that they should to say they're Christian? Don't you think that's a little bit hypocritical? And now what, you want to judge the Jewish people, God's chosen people? You want to judge them because of what you say a person's religious behavior should be? So it just goes on like this, and it goes on. And there was only a couple times where Huckabee sort of let the mask slip a little bit, and you could kind of see the snarl come out on this guy, where Tucker Carlson, he's throwing in all the caveats of like, I'm a big supporter of Israel. I don't support any kind of racism or discrimination, and I support everyone equally. And he says, well, okay, and they deserve to have a land of their own, but then don't other people, don't the British people who have been in that land for thousands of years before anyone claims that Jews were in the Holy Land? What about that? And Huckabee cannot say it. He cannot say, he will not say that anyone besides these Jews are entitled to a piece of land of their own, of a homeland of their own. He will not do it. So now, mind you, the way that he's doing it is this very grandfatherly, like, I'm just confused. Well, I can't be expected to know everything. So to kind of start breaking this down, because after this, it just became, it became vaudeville-ish. It became practical joke-ish. It just became silly and nonsensical, where I can't listen to this. I mean, I've heard everything I need to hear. Right? Like, you catch a guy trying to break into your house. Like, I don't need to watch this guy any further to know that he's not an honest player. All right? This guy's up to no fucking good. There's nothing else I need to hear here. But there were a few things that, again, I think these are things that we can take away. And, again, things that you can use in listening to other fucking swindlers, other bullshit artists. And, two, in the undesirable event that you ever find yourself in a position like that, things that you can employ to really just weasel dick your way out of it, because that's all this was, dude. A very talented, I mean, demonic level bullshit artist, this guy. So number one, right out of the gate, was the very pleasant demeanor. And this is something that you see with politicians constantly, and people fall for it constantly. They will always say, look, I'm being your friend. I really like you. I'm this, I'm that. I have no argument with you. They'll say all of these things, and they'll say it again and again and again. But what they actually say when they're making their declarative statements, yes, the things they are saying is more like, fuck you, I hate you, I care about this over here. If I get a chance, I will fucking smash you and destroy you. That's where the declarative statement comes in. But all of that other stuff, look, I've watched your show a long time. I enjoy it. I don't have a problem with this, or this. These people over here, they're lovely people. Great people. I've met many fine people. And it'll be on and on like this. But it's when you come to these little forks in the road where you have to lay down, like, this is where I stand on this thing. This is where all of that other shit, all of that kind demeanor, all of those nice words, that's where it acts as a buffer. But when you have to deliver some kind of bad news, it sort of softens the blow. Even though nothing essentially has changed, I'm still saying, like, you're getting evicted, single mom, whatever. None of that has changed. But all of this other shit acts as like a buffer. So say you just beat the shit out of some nog. Look, I am not a racist. I abhor racist people. I've hung out with people in this neighborhood many times. I enjoy this neighborhood. I come here all the time. I love these people. A trained person will recognize this technique, that you're talking about a whole lot of things other than the question being asked. But your average knucklehead, your average cop, your average interviewer, these people will not fucking see it. And honestly, a lot of professionals it'll slide right by too. And that's a lot of the reason that these interviews, sometimes a guy will allow it to go on. This fucking interview with Cuckabee, this was like 2 hours or some shit. So 2 hours of this, what are the words that you heard the most? Oh, I love these people. They're fantastic. I love meeting them. They're very pleasant. We're good friends. We're allies. Fantastic. All this shit. Very, very positive. But what was the essential takeaway? The essential takeaway was genocide these fucking people because these Jews want it. That was the takeaway. Moving along then. This is one that I called Big Fish, Little Fish when I was looking for it or whenever I was teaching it. And the idea here is that you can focus in on the very, very small details, or you can blow the situation up to these really, really huge details. So the smaller details, like the small fish situation, this is more akin to like the rabbit hole kind of thing. So like your Mike Huckabee is talking about that the attachment of the bunny ears Jewish people to this block of land, this is both an ethnic question and a religious question. But now if we're going to get into the little fish situation here, he can drag you down the rabbit hole of, well, what about the nuances of every Jewish religious affiliation? What about somebody who used to be a practicing Orthodox Jew, or the son of a rabbi who grew up to be the dictator of communist Russia? What about that? What about someone who is only ethnically Jewish? What about half ethnically Jewish on their mother's side? And we can get drugged down the matriarchal lineage argument there. But we can get into all these nuanced things where now he's going to force you to try to take a definitive stand. And again, like we said, go ahead and make a declarative statement and see if you don't look foolish in retrospect. Because you say, now he's going to put you in a spot to say that no person other than a 100% practicing Orthodox Jew should have any attachment, and only according to the Balfour Declaration or within the parameters of the 1967 Israeli borders. If he can put you into that situation, which he opens the door for you, he's asking you the questions, and if he has more information about this, he's already in an advantage. But he doesn't even necessarily have to. He can just say, well, what do you mean? What about somebody who only one great-grandparent was half Jewish? Is that too far for you? Is that too far removed? How many generations, Tucker? How far does it have to go back? I just want to know what you're trying to imply. That's all I'm trying to understand. And now you're in a position, now you have to defend something, but you're not even sure what you're talking about yet. So now you're in a really tight spot. And it's not by fucking accident. It's because this guy is hitting you with this little fish technique. The big fish technique he also employed here as well, and did it very expertly. He talks about, so you're talking about the genetic component, or the lineage component, the ethnic component of who should be able to live here. And Tucker says, well, are we going to get DNA tests and we'll find out for sure? Well, I mean, I guess we could do that, but I mean, what are you proposing? We go and test every single person in the state of Israel? Is that what you suggest? And I mean, what would you even do with them if you found out that they didn't meet your criteria? What even is your criteria? How will you test every person? Are other countries subject to this same thing? And he actually tried this, and Tucker did catch him on one of them, because he tried to say, well, is this going to apply to every nation? Are you going to test everyone in Britain to say they're British? Are you going to test everyone in Ireland to say they're Irish? And Tucker actually did catch him on it. And he said, yeah, but not everybody is claiming entitlement a la hand of God to a block of land. Only these Jews are doing that. That's why I'm proposing, how are we going to test to meet what you're saying is their entitlement according to the Word of God. Yes? But nonetheless, he still tries to wheel it out. He tried to wheel it out a few times. He tried to wheel it out on Syria. It was something like where Tucker mentions it, like, well, when you say Israel, what do you mean? Do you mean greater Israel? Do you mean 1967 Israel? Israel it is right now? Israel plus or minus West Bank? What Israel do you mean? And he says, Syria, what do you even mean, Syria? I mean, Syria is its own country as far as I know, unless something's changed, Tucker. And I mean, do you even know what the population of Syria is? I mean, how would we even measure that? I mean, that's a tall order, Tucker. How do you plan to go about it? So he blows the conversation up into this big, expansive argument where, no, asshole, obviously we can't DNA test every fucking person in every fucking country all across the fucking world to make sure that somebody's claims to this, that, or the other place are in alignment with however much of American taxpayer dollars they're running away with. So anyway, all in all, man, it was just kind of like, for the average person, I think that interview was just kind of like a circle jerk spin down the rabbit hole into nothingness. But I thought it was kind of a good glimpse into the kind of person that, is out there representing you. This asshole's supposed to represent you. But honestly, he was out there really representing Israel to you watching at home. I mean, they weren't broadcasting this shit in Tel Aviv, I'm sure, but this is what we're stuck with for the time being. Other than that, man, I guess I wanted to hit really quick on the fucking Iraq war thing is continuing to spin up. They're probably inside of a week. Donald Trump gave this, so if they don't do something, they don't make some kind of decision within about 10 days, then they're gonna see. They're just gonna see. I think right now where we are is about the same spot we were in pre-Iraq invasion part 2, the let's get Saddam situation. There was talk at the time, like 2001, 2002, about, dude, I'm telling you, you better comply. You better let these inspectors in there. You better do X, Y, and Z. And from everything I remember, there was, even though they wouldn't show it, because there was only a couple of news channels on, but Iraq was in there talking about, dude, I'm doing as much as I can while maintaining self-respect. That, like, you don't just get to come in here and start telling me how to run the entire fucking country. And they, honestly, if we're being honest, they didn't have shit to do with 9/11. Like, what was the Iraqi connection to that? There was none. But everybody was so spun up that, like, oh, they're going to fucking gas there. He's gassing his own people and the Kurds, and he gassed the Kurds, and they're going to gas you next, Whitey. Oh, my God, we got to invade. And people went for it. I went for it. What are you going to fucking do? But I think they're seeing they can't run the same fucking stunt twice. And they've wheeled out the whole fucking thing of, like, the fucking Iranians, they're fucking gassing, shooting fucking protesters. They hung a gay man. Oh, God, can you? But it's nobody's buying this bullshit anymore. I mean, not to any appreciable degree, I think. But I don't think that is going to hold up the show. And it looks like everything is in place. Two carrier groups. I guess there's been a shit ton of aircraft moved out to Diego Garcia, which, if you don't know, is some little shitbox island in the middle of the fucking ocean that's really only good. It's like if you were going to build something just to stage off of, you would build Diego Garcia. Like just something to fucking stage off of that you could fly out and fuck people up and then fly back again. So there's that. And then I guess they relocated a bunch of troops out of, I want to say it was Kuwait and Qatar. But exactly to where or for what purpose or what do you mean by relocate, I don't fucking know exactly. I just know that it happened. Apart from that, the only big point of concern was that, I don't know what day it was. I want to say Friday. Troops were treated to the famous steak and dinner lobster. Steak and dinner lobster. Steak and lobster dinner. Steak and lobster dinner. Winner, winner. And the point of concern there is that traditionally, anytime they hand you one of these really sweet, good deal dinners, you know you're about to get shot at. So, I mean, they did this when I was in Kuwait, and for a while, dude, it was pretty rough, dude. Like, there would be, like, really slim pickings. You go eat, and you're like, fuck, bro, is this it? Like, the military, I shit you not. If you ever have to work in a dining facility, why the fuck would you, right? But anybody who has, you see like the frozen rations and shit, and there'll be tons of stuff that comes in there, and it is no shit marked for prison or military use only. It is not good. Like you'll get some little breaded hockey puck of meat-ish substance type thing sometimes, and you're like, what the fuck is this? You don't know what it is, dude. It's breaded meat product. You have no idea what this is. It could be anything. But this is what you're eating. And the best you can do is smother it in some kind of high MSG fucking corn syrup sauce and, just pray you don't get cancer off this, even though, good chance you will. So the troops got treated on whatever the fuck day it was. And sometimes they'll do it on like proper holidays, Thanksgiving or something like this, because some people don't have, a good home to go to or some shit like this. But traditionally it's been this thing where you're going to go to war, you're going to get the good dinner, and then get out there and eat dirt and a cat, and then that's going to be it for you. So it doesn't look favorable in that sense as far as this thing is going. I think if it does go that way, there has been some talk on legitimate like intel outlets about the possibility of sleeper cells within the U.S. And I mean, is that really a stretch? Because look at how open our borders are. The other side of that, though, I think, is that just like we did against the Russians in Afghanistan, or against, like the fucking North Koreans or North Vietnamese or any of this shit where basically you're playing another team, you're just playing at kind of a neutral stadium, right? So like in the 80s, we didn't have a thing with Afghanistan. We're just over there fucking things up, to fuck the Russians around. Same thing happens in Southeast Asia. We fuck things around so that they constantly need our help, and they can't ever completely go to the Chinese and be like, fuck the Americans, we're in with you. Like, no, you're in some way, shape, or form dependent, man. Like, you've got our trucks, you've got our aircraft. You need parts from us. You can't get this shit from China unless you want to start from scratch, in which case you're going to be in bad shape. So think about it. So this is the kind of shit that we would pull. So now there is absolutely no reason to think that other countries, you're China, you're Russia, you're fucking anybody that don't like us, and the list is fucking long. And it's not a hard country to get into, So it would be silly to think that we start fucking around with Iran. That puts us spread a little bit thin. Now is the perfect time to start fucking around. Time to start fucking up power stations. Time to start blowing up railroad tracks. Life just gets harder. So if America is a pain in your ass, like if you're fucking anybody, North Korea, fucking Russia, fucking Syria, any of these fucking places, Iran, obviously, China, anybody, now is the time to all right, dude, as soon as this thing kicks off, they're going to be focused on Iran. We can start fucking their place up, and now they're going to be spread real thin because they got to support all these different places, plus they got to fight what's going to be a no shit, possibly peer-level confrontation in Iran, plus you got to try to unfuck what's going on at home. And if the homeland was pulling together, as in hey, man, we're all in this together, everybody keep an eye out, let's do this shit right, that would be something, but this ain't that. It's not happening that way. This is closer to there's a lot of people here I don't fucking like and a lot of people that don't like me. So if shit gets weird, the first thing that a lot of people are going to do is start smoking the people they already hate. So, say China fucks something up, China takes out a huge power station, what's going to happen? Are people going to start hunting down Chinese transplants or sleeper cells? No, dude. Antifa's going to start looking for the fucking right-wing gun club. Your fucking flavorful extremist types, they're going to start looking for the Antifa club. It's going to get heavy fast. And that's, hey, that's just my interpretation. That's just what I think. But I could totally see it going that way, which also opens the door for, hey, let's get some fucking martial law out here. So if that's also on the table, why would the U.S. government want to interfere with that? I mean, this is all upside for them. You get to take charge, and you don't have to give charge back until you decide that, yeah, I'm tired of being in charge now. So what are they going to do to stop it? Nothing, man. Everything is going according to plan. But what this does bring up is a comment that I saw in some kind of fucking civil unrest type video, one of these Intel type videos. And somebody was talking about, yeah, bro, I did 10 years, and I'll tell you something, man. The American soldier will never open fire on an American citizen. I can tell you that. And I'm like, bro, are you fucking mental? Are you fucking high? I will tell you right now, I mean, a lot of shit that I say, putting this shit out, I'm I don't completely know for sure. There's a lot of shit I don't know for sure. But one thing I do know for sure is that you are indoctrinated. I don't want to totally say brainwashed. A lot of times, yes, but you're definitely indoctrinated to thinking that you are different and separate than the American populace. You're not really brought up in the military to think of yourself as I am an extension of the American public. I am a representative of the American public. What it says in a lot of military doctrine is that you are only there to do the will of the American government, that you are there to project American military power into whatever arena they put you. And that's always going to be overseas. The U.S. military does not operate stateside unless... I don't know how that's detailed in the Insurrection Act, but I have no doubt that it could become possible if shit got weird enough. So apart from just some guy saying no and me saying, yeah, probably, the thing I will point your attention to is the silhouette, shoot, no shoot target. So everybody is familiar with the the shooting silhouette. Yes, you go to the range and there's a sort of person-shaped silhouette. What a lot of cats might be unaware of is that the silhouette was adopted after the Civil War, because during the Civil War, what they found was that groups that practiced with just put a fucking tree stump over there, practice shooting that tree stump, everybody would still be able to shoot. Everybody could shoot the same, but when you go out there and you actually go to get it on, the way that the lines of fire would work, so you'd have 3 ranks, right? And you'd have your first rank is kneeling, and they're the ones shooting. And as soon as they shoot, they will move to the back and start their reload process. So they'll pull out their fucking rod, they'll put the little ball in, put the wadding in, put the fucking, the gunpowder, put some more wadding, jam it all down there. And this was the process. So by the time you were in the back and by the time you got up to the front, you should be reloaded and ready to fire. That's the concept. But what they found was that groups that practiced with like a person-shaped target. They get used to the idea of shooting people as opposed to groups that would practice on like a tree stump or some shit like this. So what they said they found was that there was a lot of muskets where there would be like multiple balls shoved down in there, where guys would go to the front and they don't want to shoot some other American guy over there. He didn't do shit to me. I don't want to shoot at him. So they just fucking be loading, and then they kneel down there and somebody shoots, somebody gets close enough to me. I'm going to the back. And then they would just load again. So you'd have these muskets that would be found with like 4, 5, 6 balls shoved down in them, but never fired. And it's to the point, at that point, like you do fire, this thing's going to fucking explode. Like this is going to go wrong fast. But this was something that went on. So building on that now, you've got the modern silhouette, which is not just a shape. Like when you, and I don't know, like conventional units, I'm sure they use these. You'd have like just for sighting in or just drills, like reload drills or transition drills, you would have just a round target because you're not practicing engaging a target. You're just practicing the mechanics of like moving to pistol, reloading your rifle, whatever the fuck. But when you're going into like a house or you're practicing like an urban situation, you're going to have shoot, no shoot targets. And these are targets that look like regular people, not military people. They look like regular people. People you encounter in a neighborhood, people you encounter on the sidewalk. And they would have little interchangeable pieces where you could glue on like a phone or a set of keys, or now it's a gun. So you would have like the same, like the same woman in the red jacket, and she's got a phone, and the next time she's got a gun. And you have the guy, like a white man with red hair and a green sweater, and he's holding keys or he's holding a phone. And it changes every time. Maybe it's a pistol next time. But all of this shit changes each time. But the thing that never changes is that it's always a white person. It is always a white person. So these were like, there was some that were these vintage ones, and they were very 80s looking, like dude in a green sweater, woman in a red jacket, woman in a turtleneck on her way to work, this kind of shit. So it would train you to like look, see the hands. But what you're also training to do is like, I'm preparing to engage white people. As it moved along, there were some photorealistic looking ones, and there were several that were like, here's a kid with a pistol, here's a kid with a skateboard, and somebody next to him with a pistol. There's one that looks like, no shit, it is a fucking skinhead. He's got a shaved head, a little goatee, a wife beater, some ink, and he's got this, fuck you, fucking look on his face. Sometimes he has like a flashlight, sometimes he doesn't have anything, sometimes he has a badge, sometimes he has a gun. But long and short, you're trained to shoot or not shoot at skinheads. There's another one that was like a militia guy, and he had like a big mustache and like the sloppy green, camouflage jacket and hat. But this was like, it was blatantly obvious that like this is about training to shoot, like the Michigan militia or some shit. This is not about terrorists or some shit like this. So when you look at these fucking things, you've been trained to shoot or not shoot white people based on what they're holding, not based on what they look like or who they probably are, only based on what they're holding. As you move further along, like you could say like, yeah, dude, this is just for efficiency's sake. But a lot of situations, there was a deal where we would have role players. And this, again, this is probably a very special ops-centric type situation where they would bring out role players. But the thing was that, like, diversity is extremely important in every aspect, especially where government is concerned, right? So you're always looking for the woman. You're always looking for the colored fella. You're always looking for the foreigner. Bring diversity and bring a difference of opinions and approaches and this kind of shit. But you never do that with role players. I think I saw one time where they had Arabic role players. And after that, I was probably like 2 or 3 iterations. And you had to work with a terp and the whole deal. After that, it was like, no, dude, we're not doing that. We're just doing white people. So there was a place near an army base. There's a couple army bases where it's the town, the actual town gets involved, which is cool. It's very cool. But there is no foreigner, like fuzzy foreigner component. These people don't act Arabic. They don't act anything. You don't have to use a terp. You're working against white English speakers. You deal with them the way you would white English speakers. You don't have to use an interpreter. There's no weird customs to work around. There's none of this shit. They don't dress funny. They dress like they just came from work. So you're working against white people. That is what you're practicing doing. So me personally, I mean, even then, and this was years ago, I remember thinking like, dude, this is a matter of time, man. This has become like, this is standard business now. What'd you train for? Oh, I trained to go and round up and shoot white people. That's what you practice on. So this business of like, no, they'd never do it to you. They'd never come after you. That is silly. The other side of that, I guess, the last thing I wanted to hit on was in the event that everything goes in the worst possible direction, the idea for staying in one piece, and this will run counter to what a lot of cats are doing, is to make yourself look like less of a threat. And if you think about it, your average coin clipper does this very well. I'm very poor. I'm just nobody. I'm a little fella. What could I possibly do? I'm only 2% of the population here. I can't possibly harm you. How could I ever? Right? So we know this technique works, right? So as opposed to buying all the cool shit and the cool rig and the good looking gear and the high speed, every fucking thing, I just listened to a talk about this and it really it hit me like I knew this shit, but I didn't think of it like, fuck, you should be working on this more. The idea here is to blend in, to be the gray man, not the camouflaged man, not the guy that looks like you got a gun in your pack right now, but the guy that looks like he is flat fucking broke, the guy that's like you look right past him. The simple way to approach this, what I'm looking at, is used up, dirty, nasty shit. So like your busted up hat, your busted up hoodie. Get shit that's serviceable, right? So like a good pair of pants, but you want used up, busted up shit. I was looking at eBay this weekend, and there is a lot of really good shit. So you can get like a decent backpack, like a good quality backpack, like your Dieter, however the fuck you say it, or your Kelty, or any of this kind of shit, like a decent backpack. But you get it used off some fucking hippie, and it can be pretty beat up. Everything still works. It just looks dirty and fucked up. Go to the fucking Goodwill, get some fucked up looking clothes. You can get some good shit, some solid shit. Comfortable, functional, durable, but it don't look new. It looks like it's been around a little while. That is what you fucking want. So that when you walk by and people see you, they're like, oh, that guy ain't got shit. I'm not going to fuck with him. There's no point. The other thing that you want is in the event you do become somebody that's like you just had to do something to extricate yourself from a complex situation, you want to be the guy where they're like, he looked like he was kind of, what was he wearing? It was kind of like bluish, grayish, but also there was some red, maybe purple or, I don't know, gray, off-white. So when you're picking out these colors and shit, the idea here, man, don't go for the bold, obvious, easy to spot. Like, go for the shit that's hard to describe. Is this gray or is it kind of an off green? Is this black or is it kind of a light purple? Is it used up or is it, what the fuck did it look like? Make yourself a little bit harder to describe. You see what I'm saying? And then lastly, the idea of stash and shit, like diversify your bonds, motherfucker, where you don't have everything all in one sock, not super organized. Oh, and this was the other thing. This was a bonus that I remembered from way the fuck back when. When I was in high school, this is the last thing I'm going to leave you with because I thought it was pretty cool. The last thing I want to leave you with. When I was in high school, I had an English teacher who was a magician, and I generally hate fucking magicians. Magicians bother the shit out of me. Like, if you showed me something, and you're like, it's an optical illusion. Check this, it's fucking pretty cool. And they show it to you, I'd be like, oh, fuck, that's cool. But this shit of like, oh, you got to pay me a bunch of fucking money. You got to come to my show and watch me, dance around with a fucking peacock and whatever the fuck, and now I'm going to do this thing, but I won't tell you how I did it. It pisses me the fuck off. This guy was pretty cool, though, and he was, like, kind of upfront about it. He's like, look, I'll show you how some of this shit works, but, like, these motherfuckers, and this was way back when, before you could just look shit up on the internet. The dude was like, there is kind of a brotherhood to it, and dudes would get pissed off if they found out I was sharing this with you, so, don't talk about it too much. You're like, all right. So he shows you this thing, man, and he's got this little rig set up, and you look at it and you're like, all right, what's going on here? He's like, all right, it's like a little table, right? And now I put like a pitcher of water on it, right? And now I pull away one leg of the table and it's still standing there. It's crazy, right? Watch it. I'll pull away another leg. He pulls away another leg of the table. And he's like, all right, I've never done, 3 legs, but let's try it. Let's see if it works. And he pulls away another leg and the table's just standing there on one leg. And you're like, how the fuck is this working? And like you're staring right the fuck at it. I'm like 10 feet away. I'm like, how is this fucking working? And he's like, it's magic in the air. Watch, I'm going to go for it, fellas. What do you think? All right, watch this. Grabs the other leg away, and there's a fucking table just floating there. Just floating with a fucking pitcher of water on it. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then he takes this fucking hoop, and he's like, watch, look, there's nothing there. And he passes it over at once. He's like, look, it's crazy. I shouldn't be able to do this. And he passes it over it again. And he's like, look, it's crazy how this is happening. And you're like, what the fuck? And you're sitting there, and I'm starting to get angry. Already, I'm in high school, and I'm getting angry about this shit. He's like, all right, calm the fuck down. So now he goes over there, and this thing, it's like a table, and it was like some kind of bright colored table, like neon pink or some shit. And now, like the mat that it's sitting on is black, and it's got like a black backdrop to it. And he's like, all right, now look. And he takes the backdrop away, and there's this whole framework of like this stiff, obvious steel fucking thing that's got like this big, I don't know how to describe it, like a kind of a number 2, like without the loop-de-loop, like zigzag pattern in it. He's like, here's how this works, man. The bright colors on the table, that's what your eyeball is drawn to, all right? You look at the fucking table, it distracts from everything else. So you can't see the black against the black background. It makes it invisible to you. Now this fucking hoop, when it goes like this and it passes back, I'm actually just passing it around and passing it along this fucking loop. It's nothing fucking weird. It's pretty straightforward. So when you see it like that, you're like, oh. But it tells you a little something about all of this shit that you can use to make shit invisible. So what I was thinking of is like, you get some of these rigs. Like, how can I make this fucking rig invisible, right? So you've got like your black t-shirt, your black rig, your mags. If you just throw over top of that, like your bright colored flannel, your bright colored backpack, your hat with some kind of pattern on it. You don't want something that's going to be like bong, like look at me, but you want something that's like, what did the guy have that you saw? All I saw was like a green fucking flannel and kind of a burgundy looking backpack, and he had this fishing hat. They're not going to see the black on black magazines and shit. Anyway, I think that's probably enough, dude. That's enough. Let's leave it there. But if you dig this cut rate content, man, you know where to find it. Oh, and also, too, if you're into coffee, not me coffee, but coffee, you can get your Coffee Jones fixed at AboveTimeCoffee.com. Put it in a cup, put it in your mouth. It's for you. And if you want to throw the guy a couple of bucks, there's a link here somewheres down below. Available everywhere shitty content is pervade. Spotify, Apple, iTunes, and now Rumble. So until then, man, leave this stuff where someone can find it. And until next time, keep your eyes on the horizon. Keep your neck out of the noose. I have been Coffee, and these are my takes.